But as long as we acknowledge that, honestly,
Yeah.
as human beings, first and foremost, as parents, as school owners, people in the position to hopefully make a difference, as long as we acknowledge that we're only human. Nobody's perfect, and if you claim you're perfect, there's your imperfection right there. And learn from your mistakes and move on. Everybody makes mistakes, and you know what? You can't live a fulfilled life if you don't make mistakes, because it's through our mistakes that we learn. I'm grateful for every negative thing that's ever happened in my life, ever. I'm grateful to my ex-husband for what we've had to endure together in the past few years, because if he had not done what he did, if he didn't put me in the position that he put me in, I wouldn't have known that I can swim. I thought I was going to drown. But when you throw somebody in the middle of the ocean with a kid on each side and say, I'll see you on the other side, if I drown, I'm going to drown my two hearts.
Right.
And I'm not about to let that happen.
And
so
that gave
you
you strength.
swim. Oh my goodness, strength that I never thought I was capable of. So for that, I'm grateful, because I wouldn't be in a position I am today. And if everybody changed their outlook on life and the hardships that we deal with, and see them as a blessing, as an opening to something greater, than where you're going. I mean, I look at and sometimes I'm like, bring it on, because I'm excited to see what's outside of this cloud. when it settles, it's like, oh, what's behind this door, as opposed to, oh God. No, everything happens for a reason, and honestly, I'm such a huge and a firm believer in that. Like, it's always a blessing for me, and I'll verbalize it till the day I die. My connection to Sensei O'Neill, regardless of how that pans out, the demise of my marriage, and some of the relationships and friendships that I've had, I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't because of those experiences.
For sure. Yeah, and you wouldn't have, I think the word is perturbation, right, where you grow as a result of your challenges and whatnot. You can either shrink away from them and then repeat them again and again, or you can certainly overcome them and grow.
I embrace my challenges. I get excited because it allows me to see what I am capable of. Because we all give ourselves limits, and the reality is we are limitless. Honestly, we limit ourselves. But now that I'm in the position that I'm in, I'm like, you know what? I'd like to see how I'm going to get out of this one.
It's like a book.
It is. Like, how am I going to deal with this? And when I do, it's like, yes.
Awesome.
It excites me.
I like the question too. How am I going to get out of this one? Not can I.
No.
But how?
How? There is no. That does not exist in my life
the
anymore.
presupposition of success.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
What would you say were some of the bigger milestones for you? I mean, obviously, I would say the divorce is definitely one.
Huge.
But I mean, what were some of the, as a mom, what were some of the big chapters or milestones, however you want to kind of call it?
The biggest milestones for me is just seeing the outcome of the people that my children have become. When I look at them, I see them, and maybe it's because I am their mom, but I do have several people coming from, wow, your children are so amazing. They're so
I'm one of them.
well-rounded.
I remember Michaela mostly because
even at that age.
Yeah, because she was the one that was in the class at the time. But she would come and she would draw these pictures for me and stuff. She was really a great soul. So when you say she's an old soul, I agree.
She is.
And I knew her. God, that was like what, 10 years ago or something. It was a long time ago. Right?
So for me, the biggest milestone, because I'll be honest, when what happened with my ex and I mean, it was like a bomb went off. I had it tattooed on my wrists, so that every time I think I can't, I know I can. It's seeing how well adjusted these two beautiful. They didn't ask for that to happen. They were living a perfect life, so we thought. So to see how well adjusted they are, how compassionate, how understanding, how positive they are, that is the biggest accomplishment and the biggest triumph for me as a mom. Because it could have been the other way, and I just thank God and I thank them individually as often as I can. Thank you for being who you are, because it could have gone the other way, and it didn't.
What are some of the more influential books that you would recommend on parenting?
I did read a lot of Dr. Phil's books. Not so much on the books that I did read on parenting that I've actually lent out. I'll be honest, I'd lie if I was to make up different authors' names. I don't remember.
Sure.
Because I haven't seen them. I haven't looked at them for so many years. But I have read a lot of Dr. Phil's books. I've actually read a lot of books on self-help in general.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
What books have affected you?
There is one parenting book. I don't remember the author's name, but it was How to Behave So Your Children Will Too.
Oh, nice title.
It was an amazing book, and I thought, because it always reflects back to you. It's like, what can I say? What can I do? You can't put it all on them, because at the end of the day, and before I lose my train of thought, because I do this a lot, I've actually written a poem for each child, and the poem is about, and I'm not going to get emotional, but as parents, we think that our role is to be their teachers, not realizing that they teach you so much. The compassion, the love, the understanding that I've seen in these two, it has taught me so much. So I don't see myself as their teacher. I see them as my teachers, and every day I learn something from him or from her, and not verbally, just body language, and how things have affected them. And I think, if he or she can have that outlook, who am I to think otherwise? Who am I to allow what I've experienced to taint how I see life? And sometimes to see life through the eyes of a child, it can be so beautiful.
For sure.
It can be so beautiful, because as adults we get tainted. And my own daughter looks at me when I was going through my hardships with my mother and says, how compassionate can you be at that age? She's my teacher. She says to me, Mama, Grandma didn't have the same upbringing that you've had. She didn't have a mama like me. So she says, give her a break.
It's a pretty big statement.
I thought, oh my goodness, and it took my child, to educate me on what it's like, to put myself in my mother's shoes, and to actually feel compassion for her, and to realize that she too didn't have a very pretty upbringing. She's been a victim of abuse all of her life.
Yeah, and that can repeat the cycle if you're not aware.
And for a 13-year-old to shed light on that, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty profound. And honestly, in general, as far as books go, I'm not so much gravitated towards authors per se as the titles that resonate, with me. So a lot of positive quotations, to be honest with you, are like my number one.
I know, I see them on Facebook
they're my fuel.
Yeah.
Regardless of what my mindset is at, and nobody knows what your day is going to start off at. Nobody knows that, but it's how I set my day. And so that when things are thrown at me, because of my mindset, I'm able to deal with it a lot better than I would have otherwise. So
cool.
I'm a huge fan of. I'm constantly Googling positive affirmations, and and it's so rewarding for me to get the response that I get. Because I'll be honest, a lot of times I do it for me. I'd be lying to say, it's the mindset that it's creating for me. And if I can share that mindset, if I can send out that positive vibe, and if it can affect others, then that's fantastic. But I'll be honest, when I do it, it's a selfish thing. I'm like, today's going to be set this way. And when I get the feedback from others, I'm like, I'm glad that I was in a position to be able to have a positive impact on your day today.
Yeah.
Don't know about tomorrow. I'm like a huge fan of living for today, living for the moment. I no longer waste my life and worrying about tomorrow, because nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Nobody. I may not wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I've lived a pretty good life. But I live for today.
Sure.
Today excites me. It's like, bring it on, whatever it's going to be, good or bad, bring it on. But tomorrow, who knows?
I changed my Windows background the other day, actually. Just one quote really spoke to me. It was, our life is the dance between our greatest fear and our hugest desire. That's where we find our life. Right?
That's profound.
And I was like, whoa, that's so good.